What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about how I became a full stack developer and how you could do the same thing as well. So back in 2005, that's when I went into high school, I actually started learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, okay? During that time, honestly, I wanted to do computer repair. So that's completely different from computer science. Think of computer repair as you take a laptop or a desktop computer apart, you upgrade the graphics cards or the RAM cards just to make it more performant. Also the motherboard, anything that deals with the components of a computer. I wanted to do that because I was so fascinated with computers growing up. And also I played a lot of video games on computers as well. I was a huge video game fanatic when I was younger. So I wanted to do something with either the gaming industry or working with computers down the line. Now, I went to a pretty good high school that had shops for everything. So like if you wanted to go to college or university, you would take a particular subject. So if your subject was business, culinary arts, teaching, computer science, and so on, you were able to actually sign up for that pretty early. So when we're talking about computer repair, that's what I wanted to do, and I actually signed up for it. When I went to the open house, I signed up for it. Everything was all good. I'm thinking that this is what I'm going to do. As I was walking out, I saw computer science, and I talked to the professor there, and he gave me the rundown on what computer science is, what we're going to be learning. So I signed up for it, not thinking anything. So fast forward to the first day of high school, I look at my schedule in homeroom and I'm looking at it and I see that computer repair wasn't on there and it was computer science. So I was kind of bummed out about it, but I'm glad that that happened because it wouldn't have pushed me to do this, becoming a full stack developer and working on a ton of projects and actually building something from scratch. The first thing was front end. So it was HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We worked on a lot of websites back in 2005 through 2009. Websites weren't complex as they are today. Even though HTML is relatively easy to learn for anybody who wants to jump in, CSS, the styling of a website, to catch your attention, does it look presentable, especially when you're dealing with the business, and also the JavaScript aspect of it too. So when we're talking about JavaScript, functionality of that website, filling out a form, clicking a button, navigating to different areas of the website, that all has to be working. I learned vanilla JavaScript for the most part just to get myself familiar with how to write JavaScript and extended it into different frameworks. For example, jQuery is a good framework. A lot of companies are still using jQuery. It allows you to manipulate DOM elements in the browser pretty easily and target them, and not have to write a lot of vanilla JavaScript to get things done. jQuery streamlines that for you. When I got to college, my first year of college, I needed to find a job. I didn't want to work retail. I didn't want to work at a restaurant. I wanted to do something that I could actually use my skills from high school and help a company achieve to build a website, a database. It didn't matter to me at this point. So I went to the Career Center freshman year. I talked to the career advisor and I told him, hey man, this is my skill set. This is what I do. This is what I have done in the past. And I listed out web design, HTML, CSS, all that stuff. He was like, I actually got a job for web design. There's a guy that needs a shopping cart built out for his business and he's having a tough time trying to do it. And he's trying to find someone that could lead him in the right direction and build out the websites that he needs. I was like, perfect, set me on. I'm working at this company. There's a family-owned business. They sold various DVDs, like Bibles on DVD, informational DVDs, documentaries, and they had a whole warehouse in the back where someone would go back there, make sure that they're fulfilling the order, ship it, and then I would just work on the website and kind of maintain their website and also set up the shopping cart payments and make sure that a lot of the payments that were done on the website was working properly and secure. So after that, worked there for about half a year. They found another job as a web developer, and this company was relatively small. I was still doing web design, but I also learned PHP. Now, what PHP is a very, very easy language for anybody to learn. It allows you to enhance the functionality of your website in a different way. When you're building out a website and you want to maintain a database that has user accounts for login credentials, has sensitive information pertaining to a user, create user profiles, anything you name it, it could do. If you look at CMSs, which is content management systems, WordPress, Joomla, that is the bread and butter of that platform. So when you're dealing with the WordPress site, it is using PHP for a lot of the functionality that you see when you log into the administrator panel. When you have a website already stood up on the front end, there's a lot of functionality that you could extend if you need to using PHP. And I personally love that language as when I started my career as a web developer. Fast forward, I found another company, it's a data security company, and I worked for them for 8 years. And this company is amazing. I still have contact with the people over there. I was managing their website using Joomla. Then we moved over to WordPress. There was maybe 3 or 4 websites I was managing at a time. I was also managing the web server. So it was Linux based, and it really pushed me to become a better developer and think outside the box for certain things. It became easier as time gone on. And then after a while, I just got bored with building websites. I felt like I mastered that. I wanted to move on to something else. So the next thing I did, and a lot of people will be like, why would you do this? I joined the QA team on the software engineering side. The reason why I did this personally was because I wanted to learn the products. I wanted to understand how the products work, whether it's web-based or software-based, and pretty much have my own feedback to how to address a problem and see how the tickets are laid out for a developer. So I learned that on the 3 products that I worked on, and that set me up for success to become a software developer. Now, once I got to the software development part, that's where I got introduced into React.js and C#. React.js is a JavaScript framework that was created by Facebook. It allows you to create UI components and reuse them accordingly. There's also NPM packages that you could include within your project to extend the functionality of your web app. And it allows you to do a lot of great things, and it makes building websites or web apps way easier as opposed to just building it out strictly from a CMS system, HTML. It just saves a lot of time from a dev perspective. I was introduced into React and it uses JavaScript, so I'm thinking I already know JavaScript, so I should be okay. Long story short, wasn't okay. Didn't know how to create components, didn't know how to create callback functions. Even though this was all JavaScript based, I still didn't really understand the way React was supposed to work. After working on different bugs, working on features, repetition, I started to understand and grasp what exactly we needed to do. And at that time, we were using class-based components. So class-based components are it's just a lot of boilerplate code that you would need to write. So if you needed to set state, you would have all your state defined through a constructor. And then you could set that using this.setState and whatever the state is. Even though it sounds simple, it just created a lot of headache. When you're a developer, you have to do this.set the entire time for setting state. It's better to go the functional route, which is you would create a functional component that has a state setter, and then that state setter would allow you to use a hook to set the state. Because class-based components, what they would do is they had lifecycle components that were already built into the library to help you fetch data whenever you needed to, reload the app when certain conditions were met. You could do the same thing with functional components, and it's way more streamlined. And it's way easier to understand the flow of your code and how data is being passed down. So I learned a lot. We went from class-based to functional-based while I was there, and that was way, way easier for me. And I started to get the hang of it, and I actually brought a course to get better at React. and understand how it works, how it functions, what's the new things that are being used to manage state. Because you could have a very complex app that has a lot of state that does the same thing throughout the app, where you could use like a state management library like Redux Toolkit, Mobex. Doesn't matter what your preference is. It's just based off of how much code that you want to write that's extra. I personally would go with Redux Toolkit because it gets rid of all the boilerplate that comes with Redux. And a lot of it is very, very easy to manage. You create different slices of state and use custom hooks to extend the use of your state throughout the entire app. And the only way you should be able to use Redux or Redux Toolkit is whether your app is super complex, whereas the same state is being used in other places. Now you could use React Context, which is a global way of storing state and is actually built into the React library, but it all depends on your personal preferences. Now with that, if you wanted to become a full stack developer, you can't just rely on just having the front end down and some of the back end aspects of it down too. You need to really look into how to create APIs, how to set up databases, how to create relationship database tables where the index of one table relates to an index of another. Once you understand those basics, then it's easy enough for you to jump into a full stack role. So that's how I became a full stack developer. It's pretty much, I started very, very early. I got my first job right out of high school and then continue that momentum until today. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I really want to hear from you guys how the journey has been for you guys to become full stack or just to get into tech in general, because it's pretty tough for a lot of entry-level people getting a job right now. So keep working at it, keep doing the things that you're doing, stay diligent, and don't give up. It's only a matter of time that you guys are going to break through that plateau. All right, I'll see you guys later.